Hello, my name is Elizabeth. This documentary investigation is titled Why Millions of Americans Can't Afford a Home in 2026. For decades, owning a home was considered one of the most reachable goals for American families. But in recent years, that path has slowly become more difficult to enter. The first for financing is reshape. Auctioneer is considered the starting cost money to land places money at homes far beyond what average households expected just a decade earlier. Home prices didn't rise all at once. They climbed slowly, often faster than wages. Over time, this gap between income and housing costs widened, making it harder for many families to catch up. Affordability isn't just about the price, it's the monthly payment over decades. Banks assess if that payment fits safely within your income. When payments rise too high, many buyers can't qualify for, so affordability is the cost of borrowing money. Even when the price of a house stays the same, the interest attached to the loan can quietly change the entire monthly payment. When interest rates rise, the monthly cost of a mortgage can increase significantly, even if the house price itself has not changed. For many families, this shift alone can move a home from affordable to unreachable. Rising interest rates affect not only new buyers, but the entire housing market. When borrowing becomes expensive, fewer people can qualify for loans. This changes the pace of home sales across the country. Another important factor is housing supply. When fewer homes are available than buyers searching for them, competition naturally increases. Over time, this competition can push prices higher across entire cities. When many buyers compete for limited homes, sellers gain stronger negotiating power. This dynamic slowly drives prices upward, sometimes faster than incomes can keep pace. The limited housing supply is not a sudden problem. It developed gradually as new home construction slowed in many parts of the country, while the number of families searching for homes continued to grow. When too many buyers search for too few homes, competition naturally increases. Higher price raises the average cost of care for retails. Even when interest rates rise and some buyers step back, housing prices often remain high. This is because the number of available homes as supply and demand keeps the market tight. For many Americans, the biggest challenge is not only finding a home, but qualifying for the loan required to buy it. Lenders examine income, savings, and long-term financial stability before approving a mortgage. Rise to me. Many families slowly realize that homeownership may take far longer than expected. What once seemed like a near-term goal becomes a distant milestone. Another barrier begins long before the purchase, the ability to save for a down payment. For many families, rising living costs make saving difficult, even with steady income, but also by the cost of in-home prices, rent, food, transportation, healthcare. When these expenses rise, saving for a future home becomes far more difficult. Another factor affecting affordability is the availability of starter homes. Smaller, lower-priced houses once served as entry points for new buyers, but in many areas those homes have become scarce. Wages for many workers have increased over time, but in many regions, housing prices have risen faster. This widening gap quietly changes what families can realistically afford. When incomes grow slowly but housing costs climb steadily, many households must spend a larger share of their income just to cover housing. Over time, this reduces financial flexibility and delays homeownership. Rent costs can also affect future home buyers. When rent consumes a large portion of income, saving for a down payment becomes significantly harder. Many families find themselves caught in this cycle. When incomes grow slowly but housing costs climb steadily, many households must spend a larger share of their income on housing. Over time, this reduces financial flexibility and delays homeownership. Rising rent costs can also affect future homebuyers. And when rent consumes a large portion of income, saving for a down payment, many families caught in this cycle. Economic uncertainty can influence housing decisions. When people feel unsure about job stability or future expenses, they may delay major financial commitments like buying a home. These pressures, rising costs, limited supply, and uncertain financial conditions combine slowly over time. Together, they reshape what homeownership looks like for millions of Americans. Many jobs are concentrated in major cities, where housing is typically vacant. The cost in housing rises quickly beyond what many households expect. When homes close to job centers become expensive, many families move farther away in search of lower prices. At first, this seems like a practical solution, but distance introduces longer commutes increase daily expenses through fuel and transportation costs. When these costs are added to housing payments, affordability becomes more complicated. Another important factor affecting housing supply is local building policy. In many areas, regulations limit how many homes can be built within certain neighborhoods. When new construction slows, the number of available homes remains limited. Housing supply grows slowly while population and demand continue to increase. Prices often remain elevated for long periods of time. This imbalance quietly shapes the affordability challenges many Americans face today. Housing affordability is also influenced by the cost of building new homes. Materials such as lumber, concrete, and steel have experienced periods of price increases, which makes construction more expensive for builders. With high frustration growth, het was kavaleens adrum tatsa de waits of chapel to liables or to find traced house. Nails is must kavalein American DeSantis, Matheros was right numbers. As population grows, buildable land becomes limited. Developers compete for these parcels, driving up prices before construction even begins. This pressure raises the total cost of the home. Local zoning rules shape housing supply. In many areas, regulations limit how many homes can be built, often designed decades ago when cities were smaller. Layer on top of each other, gradually pushing the threshold of homeownership further away. The result is not a single barrier, but a series of economic gates that fewer buyers can pass through. Adien a small being ran and scud chufs. Hummindermater and disgracing rays abosemated of the film crashes. Get now streaks visible to Wengas Fangrosy. While higher mortgage rates reduce the number of qualified buyers, they also discourage many current homeowners from selling. Many home mortgages from your lower rates. Moving would mean a much higher payment, so they choose to stay. With limited listings, choose to be the gentries sell work either povodu or fines. This reduced immunization is strong, even the amount of home industry as compared to effect. Wages have grown in many parts of the economy, but housing prices have often grown faster. This imbalance means households with stable income harder to keep pace with rising from more distant goal. The 2026 housing crisis isn't due to a single shock, but the result of gradual forces. Another hidden factor influencing affordability is property taxes. In many regions, their tax crisis is stable. Monthly policies rise, property tax costs can have increased rise as well. Insurance costs have also become a growing concern in some parts of the country. In areas of premiums add another layer to the monthly cost of owning a home, sometimes pushing buyers beyond their affordability limit. Younger buyers often face an additional obstacle, saving enough for the initial down payment. Home payments continues to rise, savings grow slowly, making the starting point of ownership harder to reach. I think Saints Riley, Grilsing and Peen grows in a stabbing house that comes slow when operates he ran and Heimskin could the same point, where Colmany buy to compete for a limited number of available homes. These pressures of which leave everyone class apply, Britain house market decrease recently alone creates the Obratni and Bernadestin. To Medley Dandy Silverings and growing cries to gradually reshape the landscape of home ownership. Another layer affecting affordability is the behavior of investors in the housing market. In some regions, investment firms, individual investors, purchase not to hold or held of long-term assets. In kind of house actual permits the starts to range for divers relying to Jiddish. When sellers receive multiple offers, these simpler transactions keep more reliable, which may place traditional buyers at a disadvantage. In some areas, housing remains relatively attainable. In major metros, prices have grown far beyond at what wages can support. The challenge does not appear the same everywhere. Migration patterns also influence housing demand. When people relocate toward areas with stronger job growth, housing demand can rise faster than new construction. This sudden pressure can cause home prices and rents to climb rapidly in those locations. The cost of building in cats in a snowflake, and then you quite said why home became expensive, but how long this system can continue before something fundamental begins to change. During that time, how long yards, minds gradually when continues to nerd can swat phrase to tinlen, by building prices began rising rapidly, the underlying shortage had already been building for a long time. Many economists describe the housing market as a system that reacts slowly. Building homes takes time, and improve infrastructure extends and makes no time. The market may need years to rebalance. For military targets, for the represented stability, security, and long-term financial growth. Yet, when prices rise faster than in homordins, for due hardens, for the help you house and entering the market. Policymakers, economists, and housing advocates continue debating how to address the affordability crisis. Some propose building more housing, others focus solution may require several changes working together over time. Nalzang Navlor is neither Hydroheinschens and Poskik formers. How's Air Houston is a law board chair. How causing to receive and they'll reach us in Eichshake or cleansership of Homey Wharf. Housing markets have always drifted dense per dark oaky Nordic cream Felsensten supply struggled to keep pace. When several pressures build together, the effect becomes stronger than any single factor alone. Policymakers, economists, and housing advocates continue debating how to address the affordability crisis. Some propose building more housing, others focus solution may require several changes working together over time. Nalzang Navlor is neither Hydroheinschens and Poskik formers. How's Air Houston is a law board chair. How causing to receive and they'll reach us in Eichshake or cleansership of Homey Wharf. Housing markets have always drifted dense per dark oaky Nordic cream Felsensten supply struggled to keep pace. When several pressures build together, the effect becomes stronger than any single factor alone. If you want to explore more about documentaries in context economic stepty channel, written layer step investigate. Writing the contents may shape the next story we explore together.